Hi there, and thank you for joining me for this Wheel and Anchor webinar featuring our upcoming journey through Japan. This is a country where cutting edge innovation blends with age old traditions and cultural norms, and we'll get a chance to see that up close and personal. Over the next 30 minutes or so, I'll walk you through our full itinerary, day by day, highlighting the artisans, the gardens, the temples, and all the other cultural moments that make this one of our most balanced and enriching trips. This trip will begin in Tokyo, Japan's bustling capital and one of the most exciting cities on the planet. Tokyo offers a glimpse into the country's fast moving present and its deeply rooted past. From there, we travel into the countryside to the lakes and hot springs of Hakone with views of Mount Fuji before continuing into the Japanese Alps and the historic towns of Takayama and Kanazawa. The last part of our trip is an extended stay in Kyoto, the cultural heart of Japan. We'll stay here for 5 nights as we explore its tea houses, the Maiko traditions, and ancient pathways. And from here, we'll also visit the sacred city of Nara. We'll also take the bullet train to Hiroshima and visit the Peace Memorial, and we'll have a chance to be part of a sacred tea ceremony. Because East Asia isn't just around the corner, we've also created a pre trip to South Korea, as well as a post trip to Taiwan, each of which offers its own distinctive cultural insights and culinary treasures. And I'll share with you why these two countries are deserving of a visit. Now, if you're a regular viewer of our webinars, feel free to skip the next part of this webinar and head on to the trip itself. You'll find handy time markers just at the bottom of this video, as well as in the description. But if you're new to our community, I encourage you to stay with me through the next few slides where I'll share more about who we are and how our unique approach to travel makes each trip more than just a vacation, but instead it's a chance to truly connect with a place and with each other. Now, before I get into our Japan itinerary, let me share a little bit about what makes Wheel and Anchor different. Because we're not just another tour company. In fact, we're a community of Canadian travelers united by a shared philosophy, which is that the most meaningful experiences happen when you go a bit beyond the surface and when you share those moments with like minded people. So I'll get into that more in a moment. But if you're watching this, you probably have a bucket list somewhere. I certainly do. Most travelers do. But here's what I've learned after about three decades organizing travel for Canadians. It's that the real magic often happens beyond the must-see places, the bucket list ones, I mean. It's about those unexpected moments, like maybe discovering street food from a vendor that we wouldn't normally think of stopping at, or riding public transit in a foreign city with no destination in particular, just doing it for the sake of feeling what it's like to live there. But perhaps most importantly, it's about who you're sharing these experiences with, because there's something uniquely comforting about exploring with fellow Canadians, people who just get you, who speak your language both literally and figuratively, and who often become lifelong friends rather than just fellow travelers. So if you value good conversation and a shared laugh in surprising places and the freedom to connect authentically or explore independently, you may just have found your travel home with us here at Wheel and Anchor. Our travel philosophy centers on two fundamental goals that transform how you experience the world. We identify them as being well traveled and well connected. So, let me first talk about being well traveled, which doesn't mean a race to collect passport stamps. It's really about a practice of presence. I call it the curious wanderer's mindset, slowing down, tuning in, and allowing a place to reveal itself on its own terms. When you savor the rhythms, the stories, and the everyday rituals around you, a journey shifts from sightseeing to insight, becoming a shared experience that shapes you long after you've returned home. If you think about truly well traveled friends, those are the ones with the most unique stories and experiences, not to mention learnings from their travels around the world. Secondly, we're about being well connected. And this is where Wheel and Anchor truly differs from conventional tour operators, because connection isn't just about your fellow travelers, it's about how travel deepens your relationship with the world. We create opportunities for you to learn traditional cooking from local families, engaging with artisans, preserving centuries old techniques, and having the opportunity to share stories with locals who are equally as curious about Canada as you are about their home. Together, these elements create what we call the Wheel and Anchor transformation. You'll return home carrying more than souvenirs, but rather you'll have newfound perspectives that enrich your daily life and lasting friendships that continue inspiring you long after your luggage is unpacked. This is travel that changes you. I'm going to say a couple more things before we delve into the details of this trip, and I want to tell you a little bit about who we are. Who are the people behind Wheel and Anchor, not including our members, of course. So, first of all, my name is Gordon Drager. I'm the founder of Wheel and Anchor, and as I mentioned, I've been working in and around a travel industry for the better part of 35 years. I've organized trips for Canadians to just about all parts of the globe. Now, I couldn't pull off all these promises that I've just talked about without an incredible team of people, all of whom are as dedicated to ensuring that we deliver some of the best experiences for our members as I am. Now, the person who's most important for you is our lead trip specialist, Paula Sarnik. You can see a picture of her here to my right. And she is the person, when you drop us a note or give us a call, who will most likely be frontline to make sure that your questions get answered and to assist you in joining us if you decide to come on this or any of our trips. So let's now get into what makes our trip to Japan so special. The plan for this webinar is pretty straightforward. I'm going to be your virtual guide, and I'm going to take you on a little journey around the country, as well as the pre-trip to Korea and post-trip to Taiwan. And I'll share what you can expect from this incredible experiential style trip. I'll start off with a geographical overview of the map, and then I'll walk through the highlights of each day of this adventure. Now, if you're not sure what our experiential trips are, these kind of trips are designed for travelers who want to dive deep into a destination through our most robust itineraries. These journeys move at a lively pace, with 1 to 3 nights typically in each location, allowing you to cover a wide range of regions by land and enjoying along the way some immersive cultural experiences with our expert local guides and developing a strong sense of community, which makes each day a new adventure beyond traditional sightseeing. So let's start off with our optional pre-trip program to South Korea. It's a 5-night program where we'll be based in Seoul. So looking at the map, we're going to be staying in the Myeongdong district of Seoul. The little inset maps gives you a little bit of a context as to where things are. Obviously, Seoul's up in the northern part of South Korea, not all that far from the border to North Korea. And of course, during our time there, we're going to be visiting also the DMZ, and I'll talk about that in just a second. Getting to Korea requires a trans-Pacific flight from Canada, but in the meantime, there's some great non-stop flights from Toronto and Vancouver on both Air Canada and Korean Air, which makes for plenty of connections from all across Canada. On arrival, you'll be, of course, picked up by our driver at Seoul's Incheon International Airport. And after such a long flight, you might want to take it easy. But for those who are energized, who have the adrenaline from the arrival, our hotel is located right in the heart of the city. Now, this is a big and sprawling city, but we are in one of the most interesting and vibrant parts of Seoul. It's surrounded by green parks, art galleries, bustling markets, and an endless variety of cafes and cocktail bars. Even just a short stroll away offers a glimpse of Seoul's unique rhythm, where K-pop billboards flash above hanbok shops and quiet temples await just behind the sleek storefronts. That evening, we'll have our first shared meal, a chance to experience Korean hospitality for the first time. It's known for its warmth, its generosity, and array of delicious side dishes or tapa-style dishes that seem to multiply with every course. It's a relaxed and flavorful welcome to the journey ahead. On our first full day in Seoul, we'll take a graceful step back into Korea's dynastic past. Our walking tour will begin at Changdeokgung Palace, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site renowned not just for its grand architecture, but for its beautifully preserved secret garden. It's hidden behind the palace walls and was once reserved for royalty. The garden winds through ponds and pavilions and ancient trees. It was designed in harmony with the surrounding landscape rather than imposed upon. It's truly a hallmark of traditional Korean aesthetics. From there, we'll continue on to Bukhan Hanok Village, where we'll see centuries old Hanok homes built with tiled roofs, wooden beams, and very elegant courtyards. They line these narrow and winding streets. This whole area is still inhabited, lovingly maintained, and it offers a rare glimpse into Seoul's quieter rhythms tucked between all the modern skyscrapers. Later on that day, we'll take part in a knot bracelet workshop, which will be our first introduction to Maedeo, which is Korea's centuries old art of decorative knotting. These intricate knots were once used in royal garments and ceremonial objects, and they continue to appear today in fashion and home decor. It's a tactile, hands on way to connect with a beautiful thread of Korean heritage, and most of all, it's a lot of fun. On today's tour around the city, we're going to trace Seoul's layered heart. We're going to be visiting some quiet temples and also some spots with sweeping views, but also finally into the bustling heart of local life. We'll start the day at Gilsangsa Temple, which is a serene Buddhist sanctuary tucked into the northern hills of the city. Although it was only founded just recently in the 1990s, the temple was built with a deep respect for classical design, and it blends stone pathways, wooden halls, and gardens, which were all shaped to encourage reflection. It's a beautiful and peaceful space where incense curls through the air and time seems to slow down. From there, we'll board a cable car up Namsan, a central mountain that has served as a watch point over the city for generations. Once we get to the summit, there'll be a view that stretches over Seoul's vast sprawl, and it'll be an impressive reminder of how this once walled city has grown into a thriving and modern capital. On our descent, we'll follow the Cheonggyecheon stream, a 10-kilometer long urban waterway that once ran hidden beneath concrete and traffic. They restored it back in the early part of the 2000s, and it now flows gently through the city, lined with lanterns, footbridges, and shaded walkways. It's a brilliant example of how Seoul reimagined the old into something completely new. And we'll finish the day at Gwangjang Market, which is one of the oldest and liveliest traditional markets in Korea. It's a place that's not designed for tourists, I should say. It's where locals come for fabric and bedding and lunch, and beneath the steel framed roof, the vendors serve up sizzling bindaetok, which is mung bean pancakes. They're actually delicious. Knife cut noodles, and mayak gimbap, which are bite sized rolls so addictive they're nicknamed drug rice rolls. It's a loud, colorful, and full of flavor kind of place, a perfect window into the city's everyday energy. On our full day excursion today, we'll step into one of the most complex and symbolic places on the Korean peninsula, the demilitarized zone, or the DMZ. Although the word demilitarized would seem to suggest calm, this narrow strip of land represents one of the most heavily fortified borders in the world. And it's also one of the most powerful reminders of division, resilience, and the lingering hopes for reunification. Our journey will begin at Imjinjak Park, which is just south of the DMZ. Here, rusting locomotives and barbed wire fences, as well as symbolic monuments, tell stories of families who were separated, treaties that were signed, and lives forever changed during the Korean War. It's a quiet place, but it holds immense weight. We'll then head up to the Unification Observation Deck, where on a clear day you can see right over into North Korea. Across the river and fields, life continues on both sides of the border, split not by nature, but only by history. From there, we'll then descend literally into the third tunnel of aggression, as they call it. It's a passageway that was carved by North Korean forces beneath the border back in the 1970s. The South Koreans discovered it before the tunnel could be fully completed, and it stretches over a kilometer and offers a sobering look at the physical and psychological tensions of the Cold War era. In the afternoon, we'll return back to the city of Seoul and visit the War Memorial of Korea, one of the country's most moving museums. Through personal letters, survivor testimonies, and immersive exhibits, this museum brings to life the human cost of conflict and the strength of those who endured it. This is a day that invites reflection, not just on war and politics, but on the fragile lines that divide and the enduring hopes that connect. So now, having had a few days of guided exploration, you'll have a pretty good sense of what Seoul and Korea is all about. So today is a chance to experience the city at your own rhythm. Now, whether you're drawn to art, history, markets, or just a good cafe for some people watching, the city offers something for every kind of wanderer. You might head over to the Leo Museum of Art, where sleek modern galleries showcase both contemporary Korean works and centuries old ceramics and calligraphy. You also might take a walk along the fortress walls of Ingwangsan, which is one of Seoul's central peaks, where stone ramparts wind past shamanic shrines and offer panoramic views of the city below. Now, for those craving a little shopping, and we often have members that do like their shopping, Namdaemun and Dongdaemun markets are both excellent options. One is full of everyday finds, the other alive with fashion wholesalers and vibrant street stalls. Either way, you'll be immersed in the hum of local life. Then, as day turns to night, we'll regroup for a high energy performance of Nanta, a Korean theater phenomenon that blends rhythm, comedy, and chaos into a wordless, wildly entertaining show. It's set in a kitchen with chefs reaching to prepare a banquet. Nanta uses real kitchen tools as percussion instruments and turns chopping, flipping, and frying into a kind of comic drumming ballet. It's fast, it's fun, and it's been captivating audiences across the globe for decades. No translation is needed. Just sit back, laugh, and enjoy the beat. So, on our last day in Seoul, we will check out and transfer together as a group back to Seoul Incheon International Airport. We will take the relatively short flight up to Tokyo, where we will be joining the rest of the group for our main program itinerary through Japan. So let's switch gears now and move over to Japan for our day to day itinerary. We'll start off with the map again. And of course, Japan, as you know, is a string of long and narrow islands located in the western side of the Pacific Ocean, not far from the Chinese mainland, not far from the Korean peninsula. And we're going to be focusing on the main island now. The trip will start in Tokyo, so some that are flying in from Canada for the main trip only. The rest will be joining us there from Seoul. We'll spend the first days in Tokyo, taking in this extraordinary city. We'll then travel by a small coach up into the countryside. We'll be stopping at Hakone near the base of Mount Fuji. Hopefully, if the weather's good and not too much pollution, we'll get some great views of Mount Fuji. We'll continue through Nagano Prefecture up into the so-called Japanese Alps. Beautiful mountainous countryside. We're going to be visiting Matsumoto Castle, staying in Takayama, making our way across to the Sea of Japan side of Japan to Kanazawa. We'll be there for a couple nights. We'll then hop on a train heading back to the other side of Japan again to Kyoto, the cultural capital of the country. And we'll spend 5 nights there, which will give us ample time to take in the city, as well as make a side trip by bullet train down to Hiroshima, and as well as down to the nearby city of Nara before we head to the airport in Osaka for our flight, either onto our post trip in Taiwan or back to Canada. So the first day of our Japan trip is, of course, the arrival into Tokyo. If you're with our group on the pre-trip to Korea, we'll be flying together, likely into Tokyo's Haneda Airport. Important thing to note about Tokyo, there are 2 main airports. One of them is called Haneda, as I just mentioned. It's relatively close to the city center. There are nonstop flights from Toronto, for example, to Haneda. And then the other main airport is called Narita. That's the one that many of you may be familiar with. It is a little bit further outside the city. It's over an hour's drive. So if you are planning to do this trip, or if you're planning to travel in Japan regardless, you need to really pay attention to these 2 different airports. And of course, one of our team will counsel you as to the flight options and what's involved, because we typically focus our arrivals on Haneda Airport. Tokyo is a city of dazzling contrasts, and from the moment you step off the plane and you're welcomed by our transfer driver who will bring you into the hotel, you'll immediately see some of these contrasts. You'll see centuries-old temples that sit next to neon-lit skyscrapers, and pedestrian streets just abuzz with people, all determined to get where they're going, much like any other big city, but in a more organized and more sort of cohesive fashion. It's hard to describe until you've actually seen it. So, whether you arrive fresh in from Canada or whether you're part of our group that does the pre trip in Seoul, today's the beginning of our Japanese chapter. We're not planning a lot formal for this day. Some will want to get some rest. And or others will want to stretch their legs, get out, walk around a little bit. And we are in one of the more vibrant neighborhoods of the city, so there'll be plenty of opportunity to get out and check out the local neighborhood, and maybe some gardens, maybe a ramen shop, depending on when you arrive. That first evening, we'll have our welcome dinner. Great chance to meet all your fellow travelers, share impressions of the trip so far, particularly those who've been to Korea, and toast the start of what will be undoubtedly a remarkable journey. So, our first full day in the city, we won't get you up too early in the morning. You'll have a sumptuous breakfast, and there'll be a warm welcome and an orientation from your Wheel and Anchor host. And again, this is another chance to connect, and we will talk about the kind of travel, who we are as travelers, what we're going to see, some of the logistics, and how it's all going to go down. And you'll probably meet the local guide, our local guide for Japan at that time. And then it'll be time to step into Tokyo's layered soul. And we're going to start off at Meiji Jingu, which is a Shinto shrine nestled within a forest of over 100,000 trees that have been donated from various parts of the country. This was built to honor Emperor Meiji and the Empress Shoken. And it's a place where tradition and modern reverence quietly coexist. We'll walk through this towering torii gate. You'll hear a lot more about torii gates. They're a symbol of Shintoism in Japan. And all of a sudden, the bustle of the city is going to fall away, and it'll be replaced by gravel paths, rustling leaves, and ritual calm. It really feels a world apart from the city around it. We'll then head back into the bustling part of the city. We're going to visit the Tsukiji Outer Market, which is Tokyo's beloved food hub. Here, we'll join a local chef for a hands-on sushi making workshop. Right off the get-go, we're going to get an introduction into Japan's most famous cuisine. We'll learn the art of rice, roll, and balance before enjoying the fruits of our labor for lunch. There'll be time afterward for us to enjoy the stalls around the market, to check out, maybe get some artisanal teas, handmade ceramics, or that perfect Japanese kitchen knife. And if you've never worked with a Japanese kitchen knife before, you'll know what I mean after this trip. Later on that afternoon, we will visit Asakusa, where the spirit of old Edo still lingers. Along Nakamizadori, which is a street in this neighborhood, there's colorful stalls that take us to Senjoji, which is Tokyo's oldest temple, which is surrounded by, or I should say, contains an incense-swirled courtyard, which is anchored by an incredible 5-story high pagoda. That evening, Tokyo will become our culinary playground, as it will. There's everything in the neighborhood, as I say, from cozy ramen counters to elegant kaiseki dining, not far from our hotel, and you'll be free to experience that on your own. After a fairly full first day in Tokyo, we've put in another whole day for you to explore Tokyo on your own terms and at your own pace. This is one of those days where I strongly recommend that if you don't already have an idea of what aspect of this massive city you might want to experience, you might take to Google or ChatGPT to get some ideas of what might appeal to you. For example, you might want to stroll through Yanaka, which is one of the few neighborhoods that survived the air raids of World War II, and you'll find old wooden houses and family-run shops and neighborhood shrines that preserve the spirit of a bygone Tokyo. You might also be drawn to Omotesando, which is the Champs-Élysées of Tokyo, where you'll find avant-garde architecture along a boulevard of Zelkova trees. Now, if you're an art lover, there's a lot of choices. You might want to visit Nizu Museum or the Mori Art Museum, two of Tokyo's favorites. Culinary explorers, on the other hand, might lose themselves in the food halls of Depachika, which is a well-known market, or maybe the back alleys of Ibizo Yokocho, which is a vibrant retro-style alleyway brimming with over 20 tiny izakaya bars and food stalls. But if you're looking for the perfect way to close out the day, maybe for the evening sunset, you might slip down the stairs into Bar Lupin in Ginza. Now, Ginza, you might have heard of. This is like Tokyo's Fifth Avenue district, full of beautiful shops and restaurants. And Bar Lupin was once frequented by post war writers and artists, and it's a pocket of sort of old Tokyo charm. It's dimly lit, quietly storied, and still echoes with the city's creative past. No matter what you choose, this is about discovering the Tokyo that speaks to you. On this morning's excursion, we'll journey down to Kamakura, a coastal town which is steeped in history and spiritual grace. It was once the seat of Japan's first shogunate in the 12th century, and today it feels like a peaceful blend of ancient power and seaside charm. We'll start off by visiting one of Japan's most iconic landmarks, the Great Buddha of Kamakura. It's cast in bronze and it's over 11 meters tall. It's a meditative figure which has endured centuries of typhoons, earthquakes, and shifting sands. It still sits serenely in the open air, a symbol of resilience and calm. From there, we'll head up to the Hakone Temple, home to a majestic 11-headed statue of Kanon, the goddess of compassion. The temple's hillside location offers beautiful views of the coastline, while the caves and gardens create a tranquil atmosphere which is ideal for quiet reflection. We'll then make our way to Tsurugawaka Hajigamangu Shrine. This is Kamakura's spiritual heart. It's dedicated to the Shinto god of warriors, and it's a grand shrine that once drew samurai to its gates, and it still retains a sense of quiet strength. Got a wide approach flanked by ancient trees, and it invites contemplation in every step that you take. Before we head back to Tokyo, we'll have a chance to wander down Komachi Street, where tradition meets modern life. This is a lively shopping lane, a favorite amongst our members, and it's perfect for sampling seasonal sweets or browsing handmade crafts or just soaking in the easy rhythm of town. This morning, we'll check out of our hotel and say goodbye to Tokyo's electric energy and head to the serene landscapes of Hakone. It's a mountainous retreat which has long been favored by artists, poets, and weary city dwellers. Our first stop will be the remarkable Hakone Open Air Museum, where art doesn't just hang on the walls, it rises up from the earth. Sculptures by legends like Henry Moore, Joan Miro, and Niki de Sanfal are scattered across grassy lawns, nestled among trees, and framed by distant peaks. With forest paths, sky views, and even a Picasso pavilion, this museum is as much a walk-through inspiration as it is a gallery. And I can recall the very first time that I visited the Hakone Museum, always thinking, I'm not such a huge fan of museums, but this one really opened my eyes and was certainly a highlight of this day, if not the whole trip. We'll then head over and ride up the Hakone Ropeway, or chairlift, which glides among the steaming valleys towards Oakudani, a volcanic crater, which is still visibly alive with bubbling pools and billowing sulfur clouds. It's literally otherworldly. It's a place where the earth breathes beneath your feet. Local lore suggests that eating one of the blackened eggs, which you'll find sold by vendors along the way, which has been hard boiled in the mineral rich waters, adds 7 years to your life. Well, who knows? Maybe worth a try. On the way back down, we'll pass Lake Ashi, which is often graced by views of Mount Fuji, like you see in the picture here. Of course, if the weather and um, air pollution conditions allow. But even without the iconic peak, the landscape around here is stunning. Deep forests, misty ridges stretch across the horizon. By the evening, we'll settle into the gentle hush of Hakone, and here among cedar trees and mountain air, the rhythm shifts. It's a chance to breathe deeply, soak in Japan's nature, and feel the quiet pulse of this area's volcanic heart. Today, we'll be driving deeper into the interior of Japan, heading in the direction of Takayama, and there'll be opportunities to catch a glimpse of Mount Fuji in the early part of the day. Our journey will take us first to Matsumoto, a city that blends alpine charm with historic grit. And at the heart of it all is Matsumoto Castle, pictured here. It's one of only a handful of original castles which still stand in Japan. This one's nicknamed the Crow Castle because of its dark wooden walls and sweeping silhouette. It dates back some 500 years, and it's about as classic an example of Japanese architecture as you'll find. We'll have a bit of time to climb the castle inside, noting that there's no lift or escalators. We'll then have a lunch nearby and step into Kusakabe Folkcraft Museum, which was once a merchant's home, and it's now a haven of everyday beauty where you'll find handcrafted tools, pottery, and textiles that all echo the values of Japanese minge, which is folk art. In the afternoon, we'll wind through the forested mountain roads, making our way towards Takayama. This is a town with an Edo era charm. We'll hear about that from our guide along the way. It's known for its craftsmanship and its alpine culture, which are still very much alive and flourishing in the town. It's the kind of place that invites you to just slow down. Tomorrow, we'll have a deeper dive into its quiet magic. So today's excursion around Takayama will introduce us to a little bit of craft heritage and the slower rhythm of life that creates a distinct sense of place in this part of the country. Our morning stroll will take us through the Miyagawa Morning Market, where we'll find farmers and artisans from the surrounding hills selling everything from wild mountain vegetables and hand fermented miso to carved wooden toys and indigo dyed textiles. It's not just a shopping experience, it's a conversation with tradition shaped by the seasons. We'll then wander down Sanomachi Street, which is the preserved merchant quarter where low slung wooden buildings recall this Edo period that the town is so famous for. The streets once bustled with traders and officials, and today they house lovingly prepared shops, cafes, and family run sake breweries. And we'll step inside one to taste the local brew, often made with pure mountain water and cold weather rice. We'll look for sugidama, a cedar ball hung at the entrance to mark the arrival of fresh sake. And if you don't know a lot about sake, most of us think, of course, that it's the hot rice wine that you drink at sushi restaurants. But of course, in Japan, they like to drink it cold. And we'll find out a lot more about sake and its traditions on our visit here. Later in that afternoon, we'll explore Takayama Jinya, a rare surviving outpost of Edo era governance. It was built back in the early 18th century and functioned as a local administrative hub for over 170 years. We'll walk through its tatami matted chambers and grain storehouses, which offer a tangible glimpse into the political and agricultural systems that once sustained Japan's mountain provinces. This is history you can feel, quiet, orderly, and deeply rooted in place. On our way to Kanazawa, we're going to venture into some of Japan's mountain traditions, following quiet valleys and forested slopes into places where the past is not only remembered, but still lived. Our first stop will be Shirakawago, a picture postcard village where Gasho Zukuri houses, named for their steep prayer like roofs, have stood for generations. They were designed to shed deep alpine snow, and the structures are both elegant and practical. Inside the Wada House, which was once the residence of a silk producing family, we'll find out how these timber homes supported not only domestic life, but seasonal industries from sericulture to saltpeter production. We'll then head on to Gokoyama, which is another UNESCO listed village, as is Shirakawago, where the rhythm of life still follows ancient seasonal patterns. Here we'll witness the delicate art of washi paper making, which is a craft that's been passed down over centuries. They use mountain spring water and the bark of the mulberry tree. Artisans create paper so strong and beautiful it's still used in traditional interiors, calligraphy, and even restoration work at temples throughout Japan. We'll have a little lunch here, and I won't share the details of that because it's a really special one, but there'll be time afterwards to wander before we head towards Kanazawa, which was once a castle town of samurai and scholars, and it's now one of Japan's great cultural cities, set between the mountains and the Sea of Japan. It's a place where old world elegance and contemporary creativity coexist, the perfect setting for the next chapter of our journey. In Kanazawa, we'll start off by delving into the refined artistry that has defined the city for centuries. We'll start off with a fun activity at Hakokokan, a gold leaf atelier where over 98% of Japan's gold leaf is still produced. Here, we'll learn how the impossibly thin sheets are used not just in art and architecture, but even in sweets and cosmetics. In fact, we'll have a chance to try the technique ourselves, gilding chopsticks with a patience and delicacy that mirrors the craft's meditative rhythm. And then you'll have your very own set of hand gilded gold leaf chopsticks that you can use the next time you go for sushi back home. From there, we'll head over to the Higashi-Chaya district, which was once the heart of Kanazawa's geisha culture. There's narrow lanes, wooden tea houses, and lattice windows that evoke the days when the air was filled with the sounds of shamisen strings and quiet laughter behind sliding screens. We'll also visit the Nomura samurai residence, where we'll glimpse another side of the city's past. This is a world where warriors met poetry, brushwork, and zen. This home is impeccably preserved, and it offers not just a look at samurai life, but a feeling of stillness that lingers throughout the moss-lined garden and the tatami rooms. Lunch today will be at your leisure, and so you might want to sample some of the delicate seafood at the Omicho Market, a favorite of locals for generations. We'll close out the day at Kenrokuen Garden, which is one of Japan's three great landscape gardens. It's a place where every tree is pruned with intention, every path is designed to invite reflection. It's truly a masterpiece of living design, and it's a perfect place to simply pause. We'll have a quiet morning in Kanazawa before departing. You can either grab a few extra winks of sleep or maybe head out to explore a bit more of downtown before we begin our journey to Kyoto. Around midday, we'll regroup at Kanazawa Station, which is a marvel of modern design where glass and steel meet tradition in the form of a giant Suzumi drumgate, a symbolic welcome to travelers from all over Japan. From here, we'll get on an express train that takes us across the rugged spine of the country. And as we wind through valleys and tunnels, past rivers and misty peaks, the journey itself becomes part of the experience, an ever-changing canvas of natural beauty. There'll be a stop en route to connect to another train, but since our luggage is going to be transported separately, we'll be able to enjoy the trip with ease. By late afternoon, we get into Kyoto, once Japan's imperial capital for over 1,000 years. This city remains the keeper of its deepest traditions, from Zen gardens and tea houses to temple bells echoing through bamboo groves. Now, if there's one place where the essence of traditional Japan lingers in every stone path and temple bell, it's in Kyoto, a city where the old world still breathes beneath the surface of the modern. We'll begin with a gentle walking orientation tour, easing into the rhythm of Kyoto before heading over to Nijo Castle, built by Tokugawa Ieyasu, the shogun who unified Japan. As we step through its grand gates and painted chambers, a war historian will bring to life the power struggles of the Edo period. Underfoot, nightingale floors that sing with every step, a clever 17th century alarm system designed to alert against intruders. Later, we'll gather for a riverside lunch near the Kamo River, where the slow movement of water mirrors the elegance of the city itself. In the afternoon, we'll be invited into one of Japan's most refined traditions, the tea ceremony. Under the guidance of a licensed practitioner, we'll learn the art of stillness, ritual, and attentiveness. And for those who wish, donning a kimono adds an extra layer of reverence to this timeless experience. As the evening settles in, we'll walk through Hanamikoji Street in Gion, Kyoto's iconic geisha quarter. The glow of lanterns, the scent of incense, and the soft rustle of silk mark the close of a day which is be steeped in tradition and quiet beauty. Today, we're going to start off by visiting a temple in Kyoto before heading to Japan's first capital and one of its most sacred places, Nara. We'll begin at the temple of Kiyomizu-dera, perched on a forested hillside with sweeping views over Kyoto. Its vast wooden veranda, built completely without nails, has stood for centuries, literally a testament to the ingenuity and spiritual vision of its builders. The temple's name means pure water and comes from the sacred spring flowing beneath it, which is long believed to have healing powers. Next, we'll visit the extraordinary Senju Sangendo, where 1,001 gilded statues of Kannon, the Bodhisattva of compassion, line a hall that seems to shiver with divine presence. Each figure here is unique. It's an awe-inspiring display of faith and artistic mastery from the 13th century. In the afternoon, we journey south to Nara, Japan's first capital, with the first stop being at Todaiji Temple, where we'll stand before the Great Buddha, a monumental bronze figure housed in one of the largest wooden structures on Earth. It is truly a humbling space filled with history and reverence. Just outside, the serene lawns of the Nara Deer Park stretch across ponds and wooded paths. The deer here, once thought to be messengers of the gods, now stroll freely among the visitors. They're gentle, curious, and occasionally bold in their search for crackers. This is a day of spiritual beauty, timeless architecture, and unexpected connection with nature. Today's journey takes us to the heart of Japan's modern history. It's a story of devastation, resilience, and enduring hope. We begin with a bullet train ride, Shinkansen as it's known locally. These famously sleek trains hit 300 kilometers an hour, allowing us to make the 400-kilometer trip to Hiroshima in just over an hour and a half, a trip that would take 5.5 hours by road. Our first stop will be at Miyajima Island, long considered to be one of Japan's three most scenic places. Its famous Torii Gate, pictured here, seemingly floats on the water at high tide, marking the entrance to the Itsukushima Shrine, a sign of Shinto worship for over 1,400 years. The interplay of shrine, sea, and forested hills is simply unforgettable, an image of sacred harmony that's been cherished for centuries. Kyoto is the kind of place that lingers. Its quiet alleys, its moss-covered gardens, and temple bells leave a lasting impression. And on this day, our final full day here, it's yours to spend however you like. As I said before, in Tokyo, this is an important aspect of our trips, giving our members adequate free time to pursue the kind of things that interest them most. So I would encourage you again, Google a bit about Kyoto. There are so many things to see and explore. But just to give you an idea of what you might get up to, you might return to one of your favorite shrines that you've seen, or wander the philosopher's path, or you look through the antique shops in Teramachi, or you might just want to sit and overlook the Kamu River and let the whole trip thus far settle in. This is really the opportunity for you to experience the city, and it's such a great cultural city, on your own terms. Whether it means diving deeper into the cultural treasures or just enjoying a slow cup of matcha, which of course originates in Japan, in a quiet tea house. That evening, we'll gather for a final celebration, a farewell dinner at a traditional restaurant featuring a private maiko performance. I won't get into all the details of that, but this is basically like a geisha, and it is a wonderful experience. Maiko are effectively the apprentice geisha, and they have beautiful kimonos, graceful movements. It's an important part of not only Kyoto's heritage, but the whole country. They are carrying centuries of artistry, poise, and refinement with them. This will be undoubtedly one of the many highlights of this trip. This morning will bring the end of our trip through Japan. There'll be a private transfer arranged to the airport in Osaka, which is not too far away from Kyoto. And while the main part of our journey ends here, the memories of all the forested shrines and the mountain villages and these wonderful Japanese markets, not to mention the friendships made, will travel undoubtedly for years to come. Let me talk now a little bit about our post-trip to Taiwan. And as I said at the outset of the webinar, if you were watching that part, Taiwan is one of those countries a lot of people misunderstand, right? I remember as a kid, you'd look at electronics and things you made in Taiwan, made in Taiwan. You'd think it's the world's biggest factory. And they certainly do make some very important products that are in our everyday use. But there is so much more to Taiwan culturally, historically, which is why I think it's certainly worth considering tacking on this 5-day extension. Taking a quick look at the map, Taiwan, of course, a couple hours flight to the south, which means it's generally considerably warmer than in Japan. You're already almost into a subtropical climate down here. The weather's not that different than what you'd find in Hong Kong. And it's situated obviously just off the coast of mainland China. We don't need to talk more about the geopolitics of that. I think we all know where Taiwan sits. We're going to be based in Taipei, incredibly bustling city, vibrant. And from here, we get a real good sense of the culture of the whole country. And we will do a trip down the west coast of the island down to Tainan that I'll tell you a little bit in a moment. So for our arrival to Taiwan, we're going to be flying from Osaka's airport directly to the main international airport of Taipei. Taipei has, like some of the cities that we've talked about, two airports. We'll be flying to the main international one, and they'll be transferred downtown to our hotel, which is, again, super centrally located. From there, we'll have time in the afternoon at leisure to wander around, do a little bit of exploration on our own, grab a bite of lunch if we haven't eaten something already, and you'll get a sense of how this is, again, a very different experience than what we'll have seen in Japan or Korea. It's super safe. You can wander everywhere in Taipei without worry. Crime is so minimal, certainly compared to North America. It's a great spot. That evening, we will gather for a welcome drink to mark the start of the next leg of our trip. And we'll immediately see, beginning with dinner already, and the way that it's prepared and presented and all the rest of it, you'll see that you'll already get the sense that Japan reveals itself through sort of rituals and refinement, whereas Taiwan is a little more spontaneous. It's a little bit more go, go, go. And that will become immediately apparent. It's really a great complement to what we will have already experienced, and it's a great way to extend our adventure in East Asia. We're going to get up in the morning and be ready for an action-packed day, seeing some of the highlights of Taipei. They say that this is a city where both incense and neon coexist, meaning you get a great balance, again, between the traditional, the historic, but as well this incredible modern city that offers so much in sights and smells and sounds. We're going to start our visit at the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall, which is a huge ceremonial space that speaks to Taiwan's complex political evolution. We'll witness the changing of the guard. It's precise, it's solemn. Again, here's where we'll see some similarities to what we'll have experienced in Japan and Korea. And it offers a window into a chapter of history that still shapes the island's identity. And we'll learn more about Chiang Kai-shek, who is sort of recognized as the founder of Taiwan when we visit there. Not far away from that, we'll make a stop in at Longshan Temple, which is one of the oldest and most atmospheric places of worship in the city. There's dragons coiling across the rooftops. The lanterns have a soft glow to them, and the sense of incense lingers as the residents are coming and praying to Buddha, and as well as to the Taoist and other deities that are celebrated and worshipped in Taiwan. At lunch, we're going to have one of the many culinary highlights. We're going to try Zhao Long Bao, dumpling soup, in a place called Din Tai Fung, which is where they meticulously fold, perfectly steam these dumplings with this delicious broth. This is a testament to Taiwan's culinary craftsmanship, and we'll get to enjoy it on the very first day. Our last stop will be at Taipei 101. You could have seen on the previous picture, that is the once used to be the tallest building in the world, believe it or not. And now, of course, they're building tall buildings all over the place, but it is certainly the tallest in the country. And here you can see how the city stretches out into the mountains and beyond. Great way to get an overview of some of what we will have covered during the day. So we're devoting the second full day in Taipei to a free day. And as I've said before, I encourage members to do a bit of research. Again, just like in Tokyo and Kyoto, in Seoul, so many things here to experience, so many things to do. So we certainly have some ideas for you, but I love it when members come with ideas of where they want to go, and we'll certainly try to make that happen. As I alluded to before, this is a city that really rewards those who are curious, whether it's about history or art or food or just everyday street life. One of the places that our members have visited and is certainly a highlight is the National Palace Museum, where you see these incredible jade carvings and ancient scrolls that will give us a bit of a glimpse into past dynasties. If you want to take it a little bit easier, you could stroll through the Huashan 1914 Creative Park, which is a factory that they've repurposed into galleries, cafes, design shops. It's very cool way to get an insight into sort of the modern aspect of culture and design in Taiwan. Those who are looking for a little bit more older stories might head over to Dadocheng, where you'll find narrow lanes all going past these Qing area shop houses. The Qing dynasty being one of the older Chinese dynasties. We'll find herbal apothecaries, fabric stalls that buzz with trade. This is the oldest commercial district in the city, and it really still hums with the spirit of craftsmanship and reinvention. Every corner of the city holds a surprise. It might be a little shrine that's tucked above a storefront, or a little tea shop behind racks of dried fruit. There's so many different things. And what I find interesting about Taipei is that it doesn't shout out. You sometimes have to look behind the corner to find all of these and neat little hidden secrets, so to speak. In the evening, we'll get together again and we'll have a shabu shabu dinner. Again, this is a classic Taiwanese approach to eating. There'll be a big bubbling pot of broth where we'll cook all of our own ingredients, thinly sliced meat, vegetables, tofu. It's a great way to experience, again, another aspect of Taiwan's culinary scene. We're going to head to the railway station this morning and board Taiwan's version of the bullet train, which is the HSR, the high-speed rail, and we're going to head down to Tainan, the oldest city in the country and often considered its spiritual and cultural heart. Once we arrive in, which will take a little bit over an hour, we'll start off at Fort Provincia, a 17th century structure that was originally built by the Dutch. And over the centuries, it evolved from being a colonial outpost to a Confucian academy. And it embodies the layered history of the whole island. From there, we'll head over to two of Tainan's most atmospheric temples. One is called Tinhu, where incense drifts through a richly decorated sanctuary dedicated to Mazu, the sea goddess, who is still revered by coastal communities all across Asia, not just in Taiwan. Around the corner from that, there's the Martial Temple, which honors Guan Yu, a legendary general who is known for his loyalty, justice, and strength, values that are still very important in Taiwan, in Taiwanese culture today. In the afternoon, we'll have a little bit of time on our own to explore the old trading streets at our own pace. You might lose yourself in the colors and the scents of the Yongle market with its stalls of dried seafood, teas, preserved fruits, and all kinds of other tidbits. You might even be drawn over to Shenong Street, where we'll find Qing-era merchant homes, which now host a generation of independent cafes, artist studios, and design boutiques, each one blending heritage with modern expression. Tainan, it reveals a more quieter and more contemplative aspect of Taiwan, where stories unfold not only in the architecture, but in the rituals, the textures, and the rhythm of everyday life. It's a city that really invites you to look closer and linger just a little bit longer, and we'll certainly have plenty of time for that. Back in Taipei, we're going to spend the day exploring Taiwan through one of its most expressive cultural lenses, which is, of course, food. We'll start the morning with a hands-on cooking class, and we're going to learn how to prepare some classic Taiwanese dishes using seasonal and locally sourced ingredients. We'll stir, season, and plate our way through some regional recipes like a little savory lu rou fan, which is braised pork rice, or the delicate dumplings like the ones we had on our first day, before we turn our attention to a true Taiwanese icon, bubble tea. You might laugh. You see bubble tea shops all over the place now in Canada. Have you ever tried one? It was actually invented in Taiwan back in the 1980s, and it is a playful mix of sort of sweet milk tea and chewy tapioca pearls, which has become quite the global phenomenon. After we enjoy all the dishes that we prepared for lunch, we continue on. In the afternoon, we're going to be heading over to Dadocheng, one of Taipei's oldest and most atmospheric districts. It used to be a hub for tea and textile merchants back during the Qing dynasty. I keep referring to the Qing dynasty. And the narrow lanes there still echo with the spirit of trade and tradition. We'll wander down Dihua Street, where rows of herbal medicine shops, dried fruit stands, and fabric stalls spill out onto the sidewalks, in a colorful and aromatic swirl. We'll also have a chance to visit the historic Wang Tea Factory, which has been in business since the end of the 19th century. And here, the scent of the roasted oolong lingers in the air, and tea tastings are conducted really with the reverence of a fine wine. And again, we'll see that in Japan, and that repeats itself in a different way in Taiwan. We learn about the intricate process of Taiwanese tea production, all the way from leaf to cup, and maybe there'll be one that finds its way into your suitcase for the way home. That evening, we'll have our final farewell dinner at a local restaurant. It'll be an opportunity for us to raise a glass and share stories from the road and reflect on this journey that has taken us through Korea, Japan, and now Taiwan. And you'll really have a great sense and an opportunity to share stories about what East Asia has offered us over the past few weeks. Departure will be by private transfer as usual, arranged in accordance with the flight that you've scheduled back home. And yeah, it'll be time to say goodbye to friends met and experiences had over the last couple of weeks. So hopefully this explanation of our journey through Korea, Japan, and Taiwan is giving you a little bit of a sense of what to expect. And if you find this appealing and if you'd like to get more details and perhaps consider joining us, the best place to start is to visit our website, and you'll find a link in the description below this video to our current webpage showcasing our next trips to Japan with its pre and post. There you'll find a summary, but most importantly, you'll find a link to our detailed trip itinerary, which is a full-color digital brochure, an e-brochure, if you will, where we have all of the information, the description of what I've just talked about, not to mention prices, terms, everything that you need to know to be able to join us on the trip. Notwithstanding that we've tried to provide all the information possible through our digital channels, of course, if there's anything else that you need to know, or if you just want to have the assurance that this is the right trip for you, best way is to get in touch with Paula, drop her an email, set up a phone call with her, and she'd be happy to talk through the whole thing and make sure that any specific concerns or ideas that you have about this trip and what it entails can be addressed. Thank you for taking the time to join me on this little virtual journey covering our trip through Japan, ancient and modern, with our pre-trip to Korea and our post-trip to Taiwan. I hope that it's really given you a bit of a glimpse of what you can expect. Our trips are designed to give you more than just a typical tour. They're really about experiencing a destination and creating new connections, both to the place, to your fellow travelers, and to all the people that we meet along the way. If you enjoy following our webinars on new trips, if you like this concept, you might consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. You just click on that little subscribe button. That way, every time I post a new webinar about a new trip, you'll be among the first to know. You can take a look. And by now, you'll know you can flip around in the webinar and jump forward to the parts that are of interest to you. Thanks again for taking the time to explore this part of the world with me. And if you're not already on our newsletter list, I invite you to join our community and get the updates weekly on all the things that are going on at Wheel and Anchor and in the world of travel as a whole. In the meantime, I wish you happy travels, and I hope to see you on the road sometime.